The quietest room. That's why failure is the catalyst for purpose. You know, it's early morning as I write this. You know, the rest of the world is still asleep or maybe just pretending to be. And I'm sitting in some heavy thoughts, but the necessary silence that precedes the noise of the day. It's when I do my best thinking. My mind is quiet. The truths that normally get drowned out by the volume of emails, conversations, and traffic, they finally rise to the surface. And if I'm being entirely honest, this is a topic that needed a quiet room. It's too fragile and too important to discuss in a crowded, noisy environment. It needed a place where the ego could be set aside and replaced by raw honesty. You know, the thing is, I'm watching too many young people make a catastrophic trade. I'm seeing a generation that's wildly talented and driven, but also deeply susceptible to the finality of a single moment. I've watched too many of them take one single hard loss and decide it was an absolute verdict on their entire future. It looks like this. They failed the tryout, so they decide, I'm not an athlete. They bombed the interview, so they declare, I'm not cut out for this field. They started the business, lost the initial capital, and concluded, I'm not built for entrepreneurship. You see, they take one specific moment, just one data point on a trajectory of 50 years and allow it to toss the entire vision into the trash. They confuse a closed door with a brick wall. And it's heartbreaking because what failure actually does to your purpose is the absolute opposite of what most people think. The misunderstanding, failure as a verdict, the prevailing few, and the most of us absorbed from a young age, is that failure is a final exam. You either passed or you failed. If you failed, you don't belong in the class. You know, in this model, purpose is seen as a fragile, predestined path that must be discovered and navigated with perfection. If you trip over an obstacle, you must have stayed off the path. Vision is treated like a delicate vase. You drop it once and it shatters to 1,000 pieces that can never be put back together. This is not true. This interpretation is a lie. It's an interpretation that protects our comfort at the cost of our growth. Because here's the first major shift you must make. Failure is not a judgment on who you are. It is feedback on what you know. Here's the hard truth. Failure as refinement. That needs to be the mindset. Failure as refinement. The purpose of a piece of metal is not defined by when it breaks. Its purpose is revealed through the forge. When you get knocked down, your purpose isn't destroyed. It is, for the first time, being defined. Failure isn't the signal to stop. It's the signal that the refining process has finally begun. This is what failure actually does. Number one, it demolishes the imposter and fortifies the resolve. You don't know why you're doing something when it's easy. It's when you failed and you were sitting face to face with the possibility of quitting that you have to answer the real questions. How much do I actually want this? The trials you failed was necessary. It was a test that asked you, are you only an athlete when everyone is cheering, or are you an athlete when you're alone in the gym at 5 a.m. for the entire next year? When you choose to get back up, you are for the first time claiming your identity, not because you succeeded, but because you refuse to give up on it. Number two, it provides data you can't learn any other way. Let's talk about that failed business, the lost money, the bad product launch. That was the most expensive and most effective education you will ever receive. Success is a terrible teacher. Success tells you that you are a genius and that everything you touch turns to gold. BS. Failure, however, gives you an unvarnished, brutal breakdown of exactly why your product wasn't right, why your marketing failed, or why your cash flow mismanaged. Failure gives you the manual for how to build it better the next time. It takes your vision from a dream and transforms it to a viable blueprint. Number three, it clarifies your unique why. Purpose is never actually the outcome. It's about being the manager It's not about, excuse me, it's not about being the manager or making 100,000, 100 million. No, true purpose is the problem you were built to solve for the world. When you take a major loss, the vision must change. If it doesn't, you aren't paying attention. But it doesn't change by getting smaller. It changes by getting deeper. The tryout failure isn't about giving up sports. It might be the catalyst that drives you to becoming a groundbreaking strength coach who understands exactly how to train athletes for resilience because you know how it feels when they lack it. Because you know what it was like to be weak and you got strong. The failed interview might reveal that you don't actually want to be that creative director, but rather the person who builds the technology creatives use. Failure strips away the distractions and forces you to confront the core problem you're passionate about, even after it hurts you. Failure, it's your friend.